Okay, so I'm going to open up for another like 10, 15 minutes of questions. So if you have any questions on the topics that I've covered today, feel free to ask me anything about my journey, anything that I've shared today. Feel free to unmute and ask away.
Michelle, I took lots of notes and I was able to identify point 1. You talked about the invisible boundaries, and 3, living in the land of urgency. What was the number 2 specifically?
Lonely road mistake, feeling like you're all by yourself, not asking for support when you need it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it's all about delegating the things that are no longer important to you. Or just saying, you know what, I'm drowning. Can you help me? Because there's a lot of power when you ask for support. And sometimes we forget that. And the right people are always waiting to hear from you. I mean, when I say always, I mean, they're always waiting to, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to help Karen. I'm so excited to help her. Like they have that type of, but you have to be able to open and reach out. Having that confidence.
Michelle, hi.
Hi, hon.
Han, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I came late, so I definitely will watch the recording.
Yeah.
But so I came in when you were talking about the 2x2 with Eisenhower matrix.
Yeah.
So a lot of people know what they're supposed to be doing, what they're supposed to focus on, and yet they are not.
Yeah.
We've all been there, right? You make New Year resolutions or whatever, right? And so you know what you're supposed to do up here.
Up here, yes.
And yet you're not, like you do it for 2 days and then it falls back into the old habits. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So what I was mentioning earlier is that 98% of our behavior is unconscious. Sometimes we don't even realize what we're doing. Only 2% is a conscious thing, right? So with that being said, we're a creature of habit. So as much as we know we're not supposed to do something, we still do it because it's easy, it's convenient. So having the awareness of what am I saying yes to and what am I saying no to? What are my consequences? If I spend 45 minutes on social media, you know what the consequence of that is going to be? I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to feel tired. I'm going to feel sleepy. And then I'm going to curse myself. Why did I waste 45 minutes of my time when I could be doing something absolutely different? Such as maybe reading a book, maybe creating a landing page for my business, maybe reaching out and making sales calls. Right? So we start making excuses when things are so easy. And we do things that are easier because they're easy and we don't want to do the hard things. Right? So it's just stepping into that zone. And that's why having the first part is invisible boundaries, is that we have boundaries in place, but they're not really shown because they're kind of like soft. You know, they're just kind of like the wind. They just kind of blow us in any direction. Versus like a picket fence is concrete. It stays in place. And then that's why like the point number 2 is lonely road, is that sometimes we don't even know that support is there for us. So we don't delegate. So we think everything is our problem. So it's just having that awareness of what is it that you want to create with your life. Because when you don't have these things, this is what happens. This is the root cause of how burnout happens. Because we're operating from an empty cup. We're feeling less devalued. No one's respecting us. We're not getting the things that we want to get done. Right? So you're just having that awareness. And then I think to change a habit takes consistent discipline for a few weeks straight, which is why I fail most times in changing the habit. Yeah, it is. It says about 21 days. Discipline is my biggest challenge. Yeah, 21 days to do something consistently. Right? But having that small implementation, right? If you feel like the awareness of, you know, something that worked for me was I used to spend 2, 3 hours, 4 hours on social media. And the only reason why I found that out was because I would get that notification on my phone that said screen time went up, 7 hours on screen time. And I'm like, oh my God, I spent basically an hour a day on screen. What was I doing? All right. And it turned out to be, when I put that 15-minute, it was challenging at first, right? But now I know, okay, it's grayed out. And so instead of checking, 15 times a day, I've checked it now twice a day. But that was because I made that implementation. So that change is present, right? Discipline is my biggest challenge. So discipline, think about your relationship with discipline, right? We've all been disciplined at one point in our life. We all learned how to walk one point or the other, right? Otherwise, we'd all be crawling even at this age, right? Years later, right? But toddlers are disciplined to go from not moving their feet and their hands to then crawling, to then standing, to then walking, to then running. And then once you go to running, you don't go back to crawling again, right? So we have that innate ability of discipline already within us. It's about just activating it. And that's where having that coach or the accountability or your friend to say, hey, you know what? Can you just make sure that I told you I was going to do these 5 things? Can you make sure by 7 o'clock tonight I get those done? Right? You're disciplined to show up on this call on a Monday, even after daylight savings time. Right? So just because it's how you do one thing is how you do everything, is why I said that earlier today too, is start paying attention to what you already know and just tap into it. Add another layer. And right when you think a habit is forming and it's getting stagnant, just add another challenge yourself a little bit more. How long are you supposed to wait after you ask for help? That's so true about being laziness. So think about, ask a week, 2 weeks, and then ask another person. But the more you acknowledge them, then you ask for the help, and then you appreciate them, you're going to get a better result. That's a relationship tip for you. If you want something done, acknowledge them, ask for it, and then appreciate for getting that thing done. I have a friend that is my walk discipline buddy. We are friends on our Apple Watches. So there you go. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Saying, hey, you know what? Can we go for a walk today? Right? But before you say, hey, can we go for a walk? I really love the fact that you are already walking. I've seen that you've gotten results already. I want to be just like you. Would it be okay if you held me accountable? Because I'm going to start going to the gym, but I just want to make sure that you check in with me. Is that okay? But because you've already acknowledged them on their fitness journey, they're going to be more open to acknowledging you on your fitness journey. And then when they acknowledge you, say, thank you so much for paying attention to me. That means a lot. Because we love praise. As humans, we love that connection. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be understood. And sometimes that gets mixed up and that gets messed up. Praise is power. Yes, absolutely. Right? And sometimes when things are not in a praiseful way, that's where we feel like, oh, I don't matter. No matter how hard I work, no matter how much delicious food I'm making, no one cares anyway. So what am I doing it for? And then you go into being complacent.